Welcome to Exes Forever. This show is not about love because we have no clue what love is. What we do know is love creates exes, ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-husbands, ex-wives, etc. Love is the Professor X of generations of X-men and X-women. And this show is about them. My name is Ed Hill.
My name is Jeff Penner.
Game on. So, welcome to the show. Today we have a special guest again with us. Her name is Stephanie Michelle. She is a part-time comedian and also a part-time communications worker, I guess. That's how you call it. Specialist. Professional.
Screwed it all up. She's a marketer. That's what
She
I wrote.
works part-time as a communications, I don't know.
Specialist.
This
Which
intro is
you
really
clearly
awkward.
You clearly do not.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So I guess we usually ask the guest. The first question is, how did you meet this person that you are going to talk about? How did the relationship start?
We actually met in England, in the UK.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have a pretty good story, actually. Like, I think that's what kept us together as long as it did. Because we had a really cute story. We met in England. I worked in a bar over there, and he drank in a bar over there. And, yeah, we met over there while I was working on a holiday visa, and that's...
So he lived there.
He lived there. He's
Yeah.
British, yeah.
So was your first date in the bar?
I don't think our first date was in the bar, but our first, definitely when we met and hung out, was in a bar, yeah.
And did he kind of wear you down to the point of asking you out, or you saw him a lot because he was in there drinking often?
No, actually, yes, I did see him a lot because he was drinking, but I actually liked him first, and he had a girlfriend. So everybody was like, oh, he's not interested, he's got a girlfriend, whatever. So they convinced me so much that when he did ask me out, I didn't realize he was asking me out, and I, invited all my colleagues to come with us.
Ooh.
So I, showed up on a date with a whole bunch of other people.
Awesome.
Hey. Yeah,
So the first date was with a bunch of people.
that's right. Accidentally.
Did you show up and be like, this is going to go horribly?
Pretty much.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Did it go well, though?
Yeah, it was good. I didn't realize it was a date until, after everybody else had left, and he's like, that was supposed to be a date.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then we carried on dating from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And so was he like an older guy about your age, or?
He's 3 years older than me.
Okay.
And was he British?
He is British, yeah, continues to be.
Okay, so did he have an accent?
this day.
or-
He does have an accent.
Is it a sexy accent?
It's not the worst.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think I used to say that's why, I would take things. If he said something shitty, it just sounded so nice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Swear as much as you want. Now, what was your first, after that first day, you must have set up, well, let's do a real day kind of thing. What was that?
Yeah, and then he took me into London, because I worked, just outside London, so we went into London and did the whole meal deal, went for dinner and walked around Covent Garden. And,
Did he kind of give you a personal tour?
um,
Did he know well enough to go, right over here is our...
Not really, no. Not really. I mean, we just kind of walked around. I'd been doing the touristy thing for a little while, so I think I was probably more familiar than he was, because I'd been doing the Red Bus tours and all that stuff.
So what happened to his girlfriend? Because you said he had a girlfriend when he met you. So what happened there?
Actually, he lives in the town that I worked in the bar, and she was going to school in Exeter. So it was one of those relationships where, they only had to see each other, one weekend a month, and then it was great. And then as soon as she moved back to town and they had to be together, all the time, he was like, whoa, this is the worst, and they broke up.
So did he break up when you guys met, or did he break up before the whole thing got official?
He broke up a couple weeks after we met, and then asked me out. There was no overlap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
That's good.
So how long did you guys know each other in the bar? Just a month or so, or?
I worked there for 3 months. I was going to be there for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
3 months I was going to work in the bar, and then 3 months I was going to travel around.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew him for the 3 months that I was in the bar, and then 3 months that I traveled around, I kept coming back. And then I extended my trip from 6 months to a year to stay with him, and worked over there in different bars and stuff.
Wow.
And then, and then we were going to split up at Christmas time. He came back to Canada to spend Christmas, and then the plan was he was going to fly back to England, and I was going to stay here, and that was it. And then we had big romantic, at the airport thing of, okay, I think we should stay together, and if you come back to England for a year and help me like get all my stuff squared away, then I'll move to Canada for you.
So he was ready to move here.
Yeah, it took a year. So in the end, I was in the UK for 2 years with him, and then we moved here at the end of 2004.
Are you working in various bars, and he kind of followed you as a patron? Or?
No, he never followed me as a patron.
I just want
Oh,
it
yeah.
sounded a little weird. So I was in different bars, and he was
Where
there
are you
with
working
me.
now? All right, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
No, I got a job working at the police station over there, working in the telephone investigation unit, and like it was a huge change because I went from like working in bars, like having a good time, to working this like super serious job where I took like crime reports all the time.
Did you look him up on the computer?
No.
Okay, let's shut this off for a second. Okay, did you look him up on the computer? I'm joking.
No.
Maybe. I think you did. From your first date, going back a bit, from your first date, how long, like, were you guys, like, instantaneous, okay, we're dating now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah?
Yeah, from as soon as I realized it was a date, then I was like, yeah, it's on, you're my boyfriend now. That's it.
Where was your first kiss?
In a bar in London.
Okay.
In Covent Garden.
Did anything not happen in that bar?
No.
So all this is
Have you been to London?
This is kind of bar hopping.
Pretty much.
The country is a bar.
Excellent.
Pretty much.
You pay a cover to get in.
Now, did you guys, when you first started dating, officially dating, you were living separately for a while? Did you ever end up living together over there?
Yeah, actually, when I first met him, I was living in the bar.
Really?
Yeah, I had a room with my friend that I went over there with. We lived together in this tiny room above the bar, and I lived there for 3 months, and it was awful. So when we started dating, I started sleeping over at his house, like, right away.
Yeah.
Before that was necessary for sexual reasons.
Yeah.
I would just, like, pretend to fall asleep on the couch so that I could stay there, because I so badly didn't want to go back to my horrible room.
Where did he live?
He lived with his family in a house it was a place called Beckenham, so he lived in a house like 5-10 minutes from the bar.
Like his mom and dad?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's either the bar or the in-laws. So.
Or his wife and kids, I don't know. We haven't gotten that deep into the story yet.
Yeah.
You never know.
I had just turned 20, so he would have been 23 at the time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty common, because it's so expensive over there, it's pretty common, like almost everyone that I knew over there still lived with family.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty common to live with your family until you get married.
And did you stay there, like, did two of you ever move out alone together over there?
No, I lived with his family.
Really?
I sure did, yeah.
Wow.
So how was the relationship throughout? So that the beginning was kind of coincidental. You know, you kind of just thought I wouldn't know this is a date. And how was the actual relationship?
The relationship was good for a long time. It was really good. It was stressful because I was over there, and you know, all my family and friends were over here, so that puts a lot of pressure on a relationship, I think, because you're kind of relying on that whole person to be your whole support system if you're in a place that you don't recognize, or that you're not familiar with. So it felt pretty intense really quickly, I think, because of that. And then when he moved here, it was the same but flipped.
Mm-hmm.
So he like immigrated here for me, so it was like he was going to be here forever. So that puts a lot of pressure on me to make Canada amazing, you know, to make it like, see, it was totally worth it for you to move here because Canada's great. So there was probably a couple solid years that it was like that, where we were both like really dependent on each other to be happy, kind of.
When you moved to Canada here, were you living with your family or were you living on your own?
We lived with my family really briefly, just when we first got here to get settled, get jobs, get a place.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved into an apartment. So we only were there for maybe a couple months, and then we moved into our own place, and yeah. Our own place after that.
What did he do for a living while he was here?
Please don't say bar.
He drank at a bar.
He drank full time. No, he didn't. He's not. That's a horrible thing to say. Actually, it's funny because in England he was an intelligence officer. He had a really, really solid, good job.
Oh, wow.
And when he came over here, it's like that same story you hear about people that immigrate with like awesome skills and then they end up doing something crappy.
Yeah.
And he started working as as like a bouncer, like a security company bouncer.
Yeah.
And then he managed to sort of work his way up and down. He manages contract security, like security contracts for healthcare organizations and stuff. So it turned into a good job. But when he first started, it was literally like doing a bouncer at Shark Club, going to raves and checking people's pockets. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
So I go from James Bond to beating up people for no reason.
That's right.
Okay. And so you said you two eventually got married?
Yeah.
And was it here in Canada?
Yes.
So how did it lead up to that? How did he propose?
We got engaged in 2008. And it wasn't really a big surprise at that point. We'd been together for 6 years. So, yeah, we already like owned a condo and had a dog and had done the whole thing. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe we're going to get married. He proposed to me in Whistler. We went up, he like took me up there. We flew up on the float plane thing over, and that was very cool. And we just stayed at a friend's condo. And as soon as we got there, though, he had nothing else planned. Like, that was his whole plan.
Let's go to the bar.
Yeah.
Pretty much, we like went to movies.
Yeah.
Like, it was very, and like the friend's condo that we stayed in had bunk beds.
Yeah.
Because it was just this like tiny Whistler condo. So I was like, he's like, oh, we're going on a romantic trip. And I was like, okay, sweet. And then we walked in, and there was bunk beds, and I was like, I don't know what romance is.
So did you sleep on the same bunk, or did you sleep top bottom? What'd you do?
When I was mad at him, we slept in the same
Okay.
same bed.
What movie did you see?
We saw, what was that one with Brad Pitt, but it was a bit weird. He was like he was a exercise guy.
Oh, I know what you
It
mean.
was like
He worked at the sports club, and
and
John Malkovich is in that
yeah.
one? I know what you mean, I can't think of it.
Anyway, we saw that.
Cool.
I remember that.
Was it Meet Joe Black?
No.
No.
He was
Did
like-
you just name any Brad Pitt
I don't
movie?
know. Not a fan.
And George Clooney was in that too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I know the one you mean. I
Was it
can't think of
Batman?
it.
No way.
No, he was never Batman.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
he was a Coen Brothers.
George Clooney was Batman.
George Clooney was, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Brad Pitt, but yeah. Yeah, I think it was
My
like
ex
Coen
was
Brothers
never
too.
Batman.
Not even in the bedroom.
Not even.
No wonder he's your ex.
Right?
Oh my goodness. So how long were you guys married for?
So we were only married we got married in 2009, and he left at the end of 2010, so we were only married for a year and a bit.
He left the country?
Me.
Oh,
Left
okay.
me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it was funny because that was the surprising thing for everybody, is that we were together like 9 years.
Yeah.
We were only married for a year, and then he was like, yeah, I'm out.
So what led up to that?
Was
Was there signs, flags?
at the time, I didn't think so. I was really shocked.
Was it Nelson Mandela?
His last name was Nelson.
Is it?
My last name was Nelson.
How
my
did
God.
Nelson Mandela come
Because
up?
he was in prison his whole life. Then he got married when he got out, and he was like, he got divorced right away because he couldn't stand it.
Okay.
It seems like a good
He took
idea.
prison forever, no problem.
I
Then
thought
he gets
you got- I
married.
thought
Then he
you
gets
got-
married, and he was like, "Screw this."
For a moment, I thought you were
Send
going
me
to make
back
it
to prison.
racial.
No, everything's
Because you
racial
always
with you.
make it racial.
I
You
mean,
always make
you
it
make it
racial.
racial.
I think we all need to calm down.
Every time we have an Asian guest, he mentions that we're Asian 3 times.
I'm not Asian.
I'm not Asian
No.
either, but he and
For
his
For the
guests, he and the
listeners,
guests were.
Stephanie Michelle is a very lovely white lady.
Very
We prefer
lovely.
Caucasian, Ed.
Okay,
Very lovely.
Caucasian.
I'd like to
Racist.
focus more on the lovely than the Caucasian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
very
Yeah.
lovely.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr.
Where
Mandela. continue.
were we now that Nelson Mandela is out of the way?
It was really shocking. I was really shocked when we broke up.
So was it the thing where you didn't see it coming? Is what you mean?
No. I mean, looking back, like once I got through the craziness of it,
Mm-hmm.
looking back, I was like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have gotten married. But at the time, I was really shocked. And then having to tell people, and then everybody else was really shocked. I was like, really? Like people thought I was joking,
Mm-hmm.
because everything was like, good, done.
So how did the breakup happen? Was it just he got on a plane and left and that's it? And
No,
you went to
he's still
something
in
again?
Canada. He stayed here. He still lives in the condo that we
Mhm.
bought together, actually.
Oh.
So he didn't leave you. He kicked you out.
Essentially. Well, he left me, he moved out, and then I couldn't afford to stay there by myself.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't afford to live here. And so he said, well, I can. And so I moved out and he moved back in.
So what did he say to you?
Well, actually, we have a really good breakup story, too. He broke up with me on my birthday.
Oh.
Yay.
Yeah, I know. It was
What did you
special.
get me?
It was really special because
Was
now
that a bar?
it like
I'm just gonna keep asking the location.
it like ruined my life, but
Yeah.
it also ruined my birthday.
So where was it?
We were at the boathouse.
Okay.
And
Somewhere
I
on
was
the
Oh, you were out to dinner together.
Yeah, so we went
For your
out with
birthday.
my friends. All my friends knew he was leaving, and I did not know. So when we showed up, like, holding hands, everybody was like, why are they together?
How did
How
your
did they
friends
know?
know?
What?
Because he told people, he's like, I'm moving out. And they were like helping him like make plans to move out and everything.
So he prepped everybody but you.
Yeah, and we showed up at my birthday party.
But he took all your friends because he moved here, so they
That's
were all
right.
your friends.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the worst part actually of the whole breakup was that I had to I essentially broke up with a bunch of my friends at the same time. It was really awful.
Wow.
But yeah, we were supposed to go for dinner and then go to Laugh Lines actually, and I don't know. I pointed at Ed. We were supposed to go to Ed's house after.
I live at Laugh
You know, the
Lines.
comedy club.
Yeah, Ed lives at Laugh
It
Lines.
was in a room upstairs.
Yeah. I also live in the bar.
Yes, it was in the bar at Laugh Lines. And in between, we stopped at our house, to drop off people to give him gifts and stuff. So we stopped at home to drop it off, and he ran inside, and my phone had died. So I went to use his phone to text my friend and say, "We're just dropping stuff off. We'll be there in a minute." And I saw a bunch of text messages with him planning to move out. So when he got into the car, I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Do you really want to talk about this right now?" And I was like, "Well, yeah."
No, let's go to the comedy club.
Yeah, he's like, "I don't want to do this on your birthday." And I was like, "Well, here it goes." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm moving out." And so he stayed that night, and then the next morning he left.
Did he give you any reasons as to why?
Yeah, we talked about it. Mostly it was, this is going to sound really bad. He's not awful. Like, I thought he was awful at the time, and this is going to make him sound awful.
Mm-hmm.
But he was basically like, "You're not attractive, and I'm not attracted to you. So that's the reason I'm leaving. Like, it's not me being a jerk, so I'm leaving." And,
At what point is he not being a jerk there?
no, he was being a jerk there for
Oh,
sure,
okay.
but it makes it sound like he's an awful person, like, all around to say something like that to someone. But I don't think he was. I think he was just confused, and not confused. He was an asshole, but that was an asshole thing to do, I mean. But I think that, well, and at the time, I think that he really did think that was the reason for things, and I hope that in hindsight, he's like, okay,
That was dumb.
that wasn't probably the main reason.
Mm-hmm.
That
This is what he was telling all of your friends while he was planning this? Like, we're breaking up because I'm not attracted to her. Just FYI? Like, what was he saying to people?
Yeah, I think the main line was that he just wasn't in love with me. Is a gentler way to put it. So he just said, "Yeah, I love her and she's my best friend, but I'm not in love with her." But to me, it was like, because you're repulsive. And so that was a real treat to walk away with. That
So
kind
did
of-
Laugh Lines happen after that, or?
Yeah. And yeah, so I went.
You went to the show?
Oh no, that night you mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, my friends went and they were texting me like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "We're breaking up." And they were like, "Oh."
LOL.
Yeah.
Which they knew already, right?
Most of them. I mean, the ones that were just my really close girlfriends didn't know, but we had a group of like really solid like couple friends, and they all knew. So they were like, "Oh, okay." And my other friends were like, "What?" And my sister was there, and she was like, "What are you talking about?"
Holy cow.
So
Yeah.
what's the first thing you did after the breakup? So not the comedy club.
Well, we talked like all night, and he stayed, like spent the night, like we slept the night, and then he got up and like threw a bunch of stuff into a garbage bag and left.
A garbage bag.
Yeah,
Why a garbage bag?
I don't know. He was just like in a hurry, I
Because he
guess.
didn't have luggage.
And yeah, our luggage is in the storage locker, and who wants to go through that? Yeah, I don't know. I think it was just. I think he had like a duffel bag too, but then he just like walked around like grabbing random stuff.
This is mine. This is mine.
But it wasn't even like. Yeah, it was more like it was just like clothes and stuff. Like he didn't really take any like all his stuff, and he left a lot of his clothes and everything. And the first like crazy thing that I did when I got mad at him was I took the rest of his clothes and I like threw them out the window.
Just like people do in movies.
Just like that, except we were on like a ground floor apartment, so it was really a lot
Not
less
effective.
dramatic. But I was just like, if you're not going to come and get your stuff, then I'm going to put it outside for you.
So we often ask people, what were the warning signs? Like, how did you know it was coming and stuff like that? But it sounds like it was kind of sudden from your point of view.
It was pretty sudden from my point of view at the time. Looking back, I would say the fact that like for the couple of years prior, we really didn't have a sex life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So like when he was like, this, I was like, yeah, okay. Like that makes sense.
You're like, oh.
That was most of it. I mean, we had those things that couples fight about all the time, like those couple of issues that come up over and over and over again,
Yeah.
no matter how long you're together. And ours was like, he was very, very, very tidy, very neat, and like almost OCD about stuff. And I'm very messy and like kind of like flighty about that kind of stuff. So that came up all the time, that he wanted me to be like more tidy, more organized. So that was an issue, he said, when we split up. I mean, that was the big one, really. And then
That just kept coming up over and over, and
if we had a fight, that was usually what it was about. And
was it really about that, or is it because sometimes people will find, that's not what you're really arguing about, but you keep coming back to this one thing because it's easy to bring up. Do you think that was that argument?
Yeah, probably to a degree. I mean, to a degree, he really was very fixated on things being a certain way.
Yeah.
But what was kind of funny about it is that he didn't want to do it. He wanted me to do it because, like, that was how his mom and stuff was. It was like they would make everything perfect. He didn't really have to do it. He could just like walk in and have it be like, ah. And I wasn't like that. So
you weren't his mom. That's a good thing.
I wasn't his mom. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I mean, that was an issue that we fought about all the time. And then obviously the sex thing. I mean, that's huge in a relationship, right? Because it's not just the sex thing. Then it's like all the other stuff that comes along with it. So.
It just goes unspoken for so long till...
Yeah, like, eventually you just stop trying, but you kind of resent the person, and, like, I was like, you feel rejected all the time, and then that's not good for your self-esteem, and then that makes you moody, and, all that stuff, kind of. And then I think it cuts out a certain amount of intimacy in your relationship, so you're not as close, probably.
How did he explain not having sexual relationships with you?
That I was unattractive, like, that he wasn't attracted to me.
But during
the relationship?
Time, like...
Oh, yeah. Like, that started probably 5 years before we broke up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He will say that to your face?
Yeah, because I gained weight. And then it was like... Because he didn't really want to have sex before that. Like, I think he was just not a very sexual person. But and then he would always have an excuse like, my arm hurts, my wrist hurts, my knee hurts. It's too messy. He would use the tidy thing. Like, it's too messy for me to have sex. And then as soon as I gained weight, he, like, grabbed onto that and was like, it's because you're fat! New reason, it's because you're fat. And then that just carried on for years. And so eventually I just stopped asking.
Jeff, you want to try that with a wife tonight?
Sure.
This is how that works out.
Yeah, why not?
Just come out, because you're fat.
Because I'm fat.
Because I'm fat.
Yeah.
I can't get out my pants.
I'm at home right now.
So how did you take? Did you just said okay, well, whatever, or would you guys have a fight about it? Because I mean, that's not something very nice to say to somebody's face.
In the relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we used to fight about it. Like, in the very beginning, especially before the fat thing and everything, we would argue about it because I'd be like, why don't you ever want to have sex with me? And it would turn into arguments, or, like, I would just be annoyed because of that, and that would just create arguments. But eventually it was like, it wasn't even an issue anymore because, like, when we got engaged, that had already been an issue for years. So at that point, I just, like, when we got engaged, I thought about it, and I, like, seriously sat down and was like, okay, can I accept the rest of my life like this? Thinking, like, there's all these good things, but this is one big bad thing. Can I accept that? Like, is it worth it? And I decided it was. So at that point, I just kind of stopped asking, and we didn't really fight about it anymore. Every once in a while, like maybe once or twice a year, it would kind of come up, and I would, but it was, I mean, it's so, not to get too, like, emotional, but, like, it's such a hurtful, like, thing to be like, I'm really unattractive. It's such an awful thing to even try to start thinking about that I would just shut down to it because so I didn't even want to go there anymore. Like, I didn't want to have that conversation because I didn't want to. I didn't want to hear that.
You say he wasn't a sexual person. So was that the way it was when you met him and after the breakup when you guys separated, or did you see a change in him? Like, he became a sexual person after, or he was before?
Yeah, I mean, when we very, very first started, like, dating, he was more sexual. But I think that's common in a lot of relationships. Like, for the first, like, 3 months, you're a lot more like, and then it calms down. And so that is what happened with us. But when it calmed down, it calmed way down. And like it was kind of a joke for a little while, like because we were still living in the UK at the time, and my other Canadian friend was there, and she had a boyfriend, and they were always joking around about us like horny Canadians because we always wanted to have sex and they didn't.
And
and
I thought it was the other way around.
like
Okay.
I don't know, British conservative guys. I don't know.
I'm not going to England, then forget that.
I don't know about the girls. It's just the guy.
Oh, okay.
Let's go find out.
Yeah, just take a trip and be like, it's research.
Hey, we heard you girls like to.
I'm too fat to get on my pants.
Yeah, you're too fat for sex. So yeah, we did, and then we just didn't much anymore, and yeah, I mean that was kind of it. And then after we broke up, he kind of went on a bit of like a sex spree, but it was kind of like to make a point. Like it was basically, he essentially said to me like, "See, it was you. I'm having lots of sex now," which I loved hearing. BT dubs.
So would he call you and tell you this, or text you, or send you
He would call me
pictures,
up and
or?
be like, hey, guess what?
Guess what I'm doing?
But I mean, we had a lot of fights after we broke up. Like it did not go well. And I would ask, like, are you sleeping with anybody? Are you seeing anybody? And he could be very mean about it, but I kept asking because I guess I'm a masochist that way. But I just kept wanting to know what was going on, and he would tell me.
Were you dating anyone at the time as well, or?
No, I kind of, people would ask me, like, so are you dating? And I'd like start laughing because it was so ridiculous to me to even think about that. Like I was like, no, I'm broken. Like, no, I didn't. I was a really big mess, probably 6 months, and then I was like a pretty big mess for another 6 months, where I didn't even like see men when I went out like and talked to people. I didn't even consider people an option, and then. Yeah, I wasn't with anybody for 2 years after we split up because I was just like, nope, that's not. I'm repulsive. Nobody would want to be with me. I'm done. That's it. I'm gonna get cats. But I was allergic to cats. So eventually I had to figure that out. But yeah, no, I went the opposite way. I went totally celibate.
So what happened to you? See, you had a dog.
Yeah, we had a dog.
So what happened to the dog?
I got the dog. We tried to share the dog for a while, like after we broke up, but things were so bad, like we couldn't see each other without fighting, or like we'd see each other once and it would be really good, and then I would just freak out, be mean, and so it didn't work for us, like picking up and dropping off the dog anymore. And he kept not showing up, or like he'd take the dog, but then he'd be like, oh. He'd go downtown like all night, and the dog would be by himself, and I'd be like, okay, I don't think I can trust you to take the dog anymore. So I got the dog.
Oh, it's like a kid that's being left at home.
Yeah.
Except it's hairy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Furry. Yeah.
Like Jeff.
And probably locked up.
Yeah, well, because he was in a condo, right? So.
Yeah.
And he's a big dog. He's a chocolate lab.
Aren't most dogs locked up in the house? Do you let your dog run out free?
Downstairs, yeah.
That's still locked up. It's still inside.
Well, I guess. But they're going to poo and pee all over the house if I let them run around.
Well, and there's a difference between
Maybe you should train your dog.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm here talking to my dog's
Who's got
gonna
a
train.
dog?
There's probably poo on my bed right now as we're speaking.
But you can like leave your. I mean, most people have to leave their dog like while they're at work or whatever.
But he would just leave
But
it
he-
excessively.
Yeah, he worked downtown. He would just stay downtown and
Oh, wow.
go out all night. Like he went through a pretty bad period after we split up of just being like, I'm gonna show everybody how okay I am by like drinking and having sex and doing all this stuff. But it just meant that he was like leading this very irresponsible
Promiscuous.
lifestyle. Yeah, that was not conducive to taking care of anything else.
So is he married now, or is he single, or?
He has a girlfriend that he's been with for probably, I don't know, over a year though. So serious girlfriend.
Are you
He's
friends?
still here,
with,
right?
Are you friends with him and this girlfriend, or no?
No.
Okay.
No. The only reason that I know anything is because we had so many mutual friends, and they would tell me, or I'd see on Facebook or.
So are they having sex?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I haven't asked.
Why are you looking at me like that, Jeff?
That's just a weird
It's a
question.
legitimate question.
I guess so. What happened with your guys' condo? Both your names were on it, I assume, or
Yeah.
just one of your names on it?
No, both our names were on it.
Did he buy you out, or what happened with that?
Yeah, he is
Kinda?
buying me out.
Oh, you're in process still?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's been a couple years. Yeah, because I put the down payment on it mostly. Like, he didn't put down very much money, and I did.
Yeah.
So he has to give me only half of that back.
Right.
But I'm still waiting for it. So that'll be nice when that finally happens. That I get some money.
You can go on a bender.
I can do what he did 2.5 years
Exactly.
You can go to the bar.
I can go back to the bar. Like, this is where it all began.
And are you in a relationship currently, or
Mm-mm.
are you looking?
Mm-mm. I still feel pretty broken. Like, I don't know, I still don't think I want to be somebody's girlfriend right now. I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that.
As you guys divorce, your divorce finalized everything, or?
It hasn't been filed with the courts yet, but I mean, we've been legally separated for over 2 years, so,
Okay.
but like, and I've changed my name back and all that stuff, but yeah, I think you actually have to like file your divorce documents. We have like a separation agreement filed with the courts, but we don't have all the divorce papers signed because I need him to give me a separate condo and all that stuff, so I guess we're not technically divorced, but as good as.
So at this point, is it just the lawyers communicating with each other, or are you two trying to sell this out?
We went through different things. Like, at first, I was like, we could just work together and have lawyers to do sort of the part they have to do, but keep it as minimal as possible because it's expensive to have lawyers do it. And then it just got so bad, like, that we couldn't communicate. So then his lawyer said, well, I think you should just have the lawyers communicate. So, which my lawyer was like, well, that's kind of interesting. Like, I would never advise that because it's going to just cost you way more money and it's going to take way longer. Like, if you can just talk about something. So we kind of did that for a little while, but then I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Let's just be adults and, you know, now, like, it's not so much anger and all that stuff. So then we managed to work a lot of stuff out between us. And then just recently, we've sort of gone back to the lawyers doing some stuff because it's just some arguments about money, and I just don't want to deal with it. So
Less FaceTime is less conflicts, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, and I think like if a lawyer explains, like if I say, oh, this works like this because of this, he doesn't understand or he doesn't accept that. But if a lawyer tells him, he does. So
That seems to be the way it is
Just
for
like,
most
you're just
people.
making that up.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so tired of trying to explain financial things to you that because he was never good at that stuff. That I did that a lot in our relationship too, trying to explain like how money works. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna.
How money works.
Yeah.
Your tab at the bar is still $10,000.
Yeah.
You gotta go pay that off.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, really wanted when we broke up. I was like, please go back to England. Please go back to England.
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't have to run into him. Like now, I have to go buy our old condo every day on my way to work.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
That sucks.
So it's like, ugh. And yeah, and like a lot of our friends that we were sort of couple friends, like he was the fun one when we broke up, right? Like I totally shut down and like stayed in my condo and cried a lot and watched.
So he was hanging out with them,
and he was like, "What party?" So I lost touch with a lot of like, especially my guy friends that I'd had since high school. That was a lot more fun, and guys don't like call you to check in, like, "Hey, how you doing?" It was like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll just go with Adrian," and because we were in couples, and the girls kind of follow, and we tried for a little while, like, to share, but it was too hard for me. Like, I didn't want to hear about, like, basically I felt like I'd been, like, picked up out of that life, and this other girl had been plunked into it, and then they were doing all the same stuff, just without me, and I was like, I don't want to hear that stuff. Like, I don't want to hear about these couple, like, trips to Whistler that you guys are doing, and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to see pictures on Facebook of
Do
everybody.
they sleep on the bunk bed?
Yes. No, I don't know.
Seems to be a theme here.
Yes. Everything comes back to the bunk beds, I think.
Yeah, bar and bunk beds.
Bars,
Yes.
I think it's the
bunk
B. Starts with B.
You
All right,
wanna
so
get down to the final,
we're here in the
nitty-gritty
final
there?
part of the show here. So Jeff, you wanna?
Stephanie, there's a few options here that we give to people at the end of every episode.
Okay.
So your options are: you may give him a call on the telephone device.
Mhm.
We'll let him know he's on the air, and we'll have a quick couple-minute communication, whatever you guys want to talk about, in a kind of a bury the hatchet kind of way. You can also call a mutual friend,
Okay.
and get a third-party point of view of him, you guys' relationship, or yourself affected by the relationship. Just get a third-party point of view.
Okay.
You can call his parents.
Or you can have 3 minutes on the air when we want to ask you any questions, and you can say whatever you want to say to him. It's 3 minutes.
Okay.
So we have Arlie here on the phone, and Arlie is one of Stephanie's friends. And I believe Arlie is currently at a laundromat, but she's going to answer a few questions for us. So Arlie, tell us about what you thought of Adrian when you first met him.
Well, I think it's hard when people have a British accent. You sometimes think they're more polite than they are. I think I feel like you can get away with a lot. So I thought he was okay, but he slowly, I guess his dickbaggery slowly revealed itself.
Dickbaggery.
So tell us why you think of him as a guy with full of dickbaggery or douchebaggery. Well, what did he do you found very douchebaggy?
Well, I think there was a lot. He was just kind of, he was one of those guys who seemed like on the surface, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a nice guy. Like, that's the guy who, is polite and all that or whatever. But I think just the way that he treated stuff towards the end especially was not even like he was mean to be a douchebag, but just kind of always taking the easy way out, kind of being a coward about shit.
So he kind of just bailed, basically.
Yeah, well, and then, I mean, there are countless examples, but a lot of, examples that would pile up were, one instance would not be an instance of douchebaggery, but over, several years, you'd be like, the case would come in and he was clearly a douchebag.
And how do you see him? Would you be friends with him if,
No, hell no. No, the minute they broke up, I deleted that douchebag number from my phone.
Did he ever try to contact you to hang out, without Steph, or?
No, he kept, every once right at the beginning, he would send me, kind of condescending Facebook messages, and eventually just kind of blocked him, and I feel like when there's a breakup, then you always end up choosing sides. So I've known Steph since I was, I think, 2 days old,
Wow.
so it was not exactly a secret what side I would come down on.
So I don't think that's something the accent can take over. It's stronger than the accent.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us that that we may not know from what Steph told us that you may know and you think the listeners should know about?
No, I mean, I think it's good that Steph is obviously the way that she is now after the breakup. I think she's a better person times a million. I think it was one of those things that ended up being great for her. But when you look at him, it's not like if she's 10 years down the line, when you look at her and you look at him, she's going to be in a million times better place. Whereas he is going to be on marriage number 13. And
So basically, it's his loss in the end.
oh yeah, well I think she dodged the bullet. It's like that scene in The Matrix. The guy bends over backwards and dodges a bullet. I feel like that was she dodged a bullet in that one.
A British bullet.
Yeah, a British bullet.
All right, well, Arlie, thank you so much for being on the show, and you've been great, and thanks for giving us all these interesting insights towards relationships.
Anytime. Take care.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
And that was Arlie. So I guess our final questions, one of them is being, you can answer either or, you can answer both. What's one thing you would change in this relationship, or one thing you learned from this relationship?
I mean, I think, honestly, if I was going to go back and change anything, I think that I did learn a lot from the relationship. It was a good, I think he's a good person, and I think it was we had a really good relationship for a while. I think what I would change is I would have gotten out earlier. I think when it started to get to the point where I could tell that he didn't, love me for who I was, he was always sort of waiting for me to turn into somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And we had enough conversations that I knew that that's what he was doing. At that point, I wish I had gotten out. I wish I hadn't gotten married. And, because then I could have gotten out at 24 instead of 28 or whatever and probably been less messed up by it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas staying, getting married, doing the whole thing, getting more and more attached, the harder it was to when he walked away. So I wish that it had ended sooner. I wish that either he had left sooner or that I had had the fortitude to leave. But even if it was him leaving, I wish he had done it a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, Stephanie, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
for the absolutely insightful, amazing story you had.
Thank you for sharing.
And our very last question for you is, exes?
Forever.
Thank you. So that's this week's episode. Thank you for listening to the show. If you want to find out more about the show, please visit us at exesforever.com.
And please subscribe to our show on iTunes or whatever program you are using. And it also really helps out our ratings if you give us a positive review and a positive rating.
And you can also follow us or tweet us at exesforevertime. And if you want to be on the show or you have comments about any guests that have been on the show, please visit us and leave a comment again at exesforever.com.